Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. When I entered this hall, I met one of the leading processors of Addl. I casually asked him, when can we expect consumers getting Arhar dal at rupees 70-75 per kg? This is where former Secretary Agriculture had left the discussion open. Yes, it's a challenge in India right now to provide the MSP to the farmer and again expect a reasonable price for the consumer. The chain has to be activated. We at NAFED, as the central nodal agency of Government of India, we are mandated to procure pulses from the farmers as and when the ruling market rate of the fresh harvest goes below MSP. The PSS of the past has undergone some changes. Now it is PM Asha. Under this scheme, we have 3 sub-schemes. One, the price spot scheme, under which we operate. The other, private stockist procurement scheme. And then the third, the deficiency payment scheme. There had been certain experiments with the deficiency payment scheme by Government of Madhya Pradesh. The private stockist procurement scheme is yet to take off. The price support scheme, we along with FCI and SFAC, we are implementing. If I take you back to a period 2015-16, when India did face a challenge on the pulses front, the consumers, they felt the heat. The government was in quandary. Stock was not there. And that crisis really built up certain tempo, both on production side and the procurement side. We have been procuring pulses and oil seeds, cotton for very long, but the procurements which we have done in last 3-4 years, they are tremendous. It was a challenge of procurement also. It was a challenge of procurement, maintaining the stock and disposing the stock. So much of stock in our hand is also not a good manifestation of the market. It incurs cost, it incurs shortages, but again, farmers' interests had to be seen, and we did procure 68 lakh metric tons of pulses in the last 3 years. One was for the buffer which came out of the crisis of 2015 when the price stabilization fund management was extended from onion to cover pulses also. Initially, imports did happen, but again, when we had the opportunity of procuring from the local market and creating the buffer, we did that. Alternate disposal mechanism was built. The states, they were offered stocks at DRP for distribution under various schemes. In 2018, a special scheme was implemented by Government of India, under which the states were offered a discount of rupees 15,000 per metric ton on the prevailing market prices, with the condition that the stock so processed would exclusively be utilized under the welfare schemes. It really worked. We supplied 1 million tons of pulses to 14 states and union territory, and roughly, you will be amazed to know, roughly 8 crore households were benefited. Here comes the question of affordability. The retail prices of masoor dal, which in Tripura were prevailing at 120, 110 rupees a kg, there the PDS targeted beneficiaries got it at the rate of 40, 45. Similar was the case in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. I'm mentioning this just because when we had the stock to stabilize the market, we release in these schemes so that the stock doesn't go back to the market to distort the market, which already had been at the time of harvest. The pulse consumption, only 2 days back, we had World Pulses Day celebration in Delhi, where the speakers after speaker, they did mention that we need to address malnutrition in India and increase the consumption of pulses in India. Here comes the question of affordability. As Sir rightly mentioned, that we need to balance the farmer and the consumer interest. Now, in the morning I was asked to talk about NAFED. For the benefit of audience, I'll take 2 minutes to mention that we are a national cooperative marketing federation with the state federations and primary cooperative societies as our members, operating across pan-India basis. And with the help of the state federations, we procure pulses, oil seeds, copra, and even cotton at MSP. For the last 3 years, we were mainly engaged in procurement of pulses, as I mentioned, at 68 lakh metric tons, and we did procure around 48 lakh metric tons of oil seeds, mainly groundnut and mustard seed. We are here to see that the farmer who brings his stock to the market gets the MSP. But again, as I mentioned, that MSP is not the solution. Market has to build itself to a level where our interventions are not required. That would be a very ideal situation. Many in this house and even outside, I had interaction with certain media persons who were concerned about the holding stock of NAFED. Well, we believe in transparency, and I don't mind telling this house that we have roughly 34.5 lakh metric tons of various pulses, the majority being gram. The present Kharif season also, we expect sufficient stock of arhar being procured at MSP, because the prevailing prices of arhar, that's peas and pea, is lower to the MSP of 5,800. Urad, that is black mapte and green gram moong, we don't see much procurement, and even the arrivals have also stopped. In the Rabi season, yes, there shall be a challenge on procurement of gram, because the prevailing prices of gram compared to the MSP of 4,800, that calls for a good procurement. Masur, we expect to be a range mount, and for the benefit of audience, may I inform to the media also, because they were quite inquisitive about the NAFED's preparation. We are fully geared with the assistance of the state governments, and we shall take adequate procurement of the stock of pulses, whatever be required. Taking benefit of my presence in this hall, may I reiterate some points which former Secretary Sir had mentioned. We need investment. We need investment in processing. It cannot be that the stocks are purchased and again released if some end-to-end solutions are worked out, that the surplus which have been sucked out at the time of procurement, that doesn't go back to the market as a whole, but it goes back to the market in a process form to a retailer, so that the benefit of the procurement directly goes to the procurement and it balances out the supply side of the pulses after the procurement period or the harvest period is over. These are the few things which I would like the conference to deliberate on. This is what I have to say. We have a formal session tomorrow where we would be talking on pulses procurement distribution. Therefore, details I'm not discussing right now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Singh.